You're watching You've Got to Read This, brought to you by The Intersection at Clarkwoods, which can be found online at clarkwoods.com/intersection. My name's Chris, and every week I recommend a book that you've got to read. This week I'm talking about a book that I really love. All of these should be books that I really love, or else why am I recommending them? This is a book by one of the guys who taught me in my stint in the Lesley MFA program, Michael Lowenthal. It's called Charity Girl, and I've been trying to do this episode a couple of times and stumbling all over my words. It's just been that kind of day. So I'm going to read a couple of things from here to give you an example of why you got to read this. This is from the inside jacket, which I think sums it up pretty well. Charity Girl examines a dark period in our history when fear and patriotic fervor led to devastating consequences. Sound like any periods in our history you've heard of? During World War I, the U.S. government waged a moral and medical campaign incarcerating and quarantining 15,000 young women who were found to have venereal disease. Imprisoned for venereal disease. That's sort of the premise of what's behind the book. It's set in 1918, where you've got this great, great is the wrong word, but you've got all these events happening. You've got the Sox, 1918 in Boston. You've got the Sox about to win their final World Series until 2004. You've got the Spanish flu epidemic. You've got World War I ongoing. And of course, you have this little chapter of history which Lowenthal discovered. This is a little bit from his author's note, which I think gives a little bit more background. During World War I, driven by an unprecedented alliance between military efficiency experts and anti-prostitution activists, the United States government detained some 30,000 women. More than 15,000 found to carry venereal diseases were incarcerated for months at a time. Because it was practically impossible to distinguish the criminal from the merely adventuresome, the government's crusade targeted women indiscriminately. They were arrested and taken into custody for the quote-unquote crimes of dressing provocatively or walking through certain neighborhoods without an escort. Only 1/3 of the arrested women were ever charged with prostitution. The majority were detained without having been charged with any offense. To accommodate this sudden population of quarantined women, the federal government funded the construction and improvement of dozens of detention homes, some of them in refurbished brothels. If you don't want to read it already, let me give you a little snippet from the beginning of Chapter 2. And if you don't want to read it already, I think you're crazy. But here's a little snippet from Charity Girl by Michael Lowenthal. She met him the day of the All-America Liberty Loan Parade. The sky, the cloudless God-sent sky, the breeze that set flags snapping like applause. There were flags hauled up church spires and draped from window sills, flags clasped in toddlers' pudgy fists. A teamster's horse had stars and stripes inked onto its blinders. Frida carried a pint-sized flag glued to a stick, as did every girl in the Jordan Marsh contingent. They waited on the common, near the corner of Charles and Beacon, with the other department store delegations. Nearby, a boy in a tweed reefer sold frankfurters, though they couldn't, of course, be called that anymore. "Liberty sausages!" cried the boy from his cart. "Take a bite out of the Kaiser. Profits to the Red Cross. Liberty sausages!" The meaty steam swirled and lifted and joined with the scent of the eager milling crowd. Gulping it all, Frida felt a glorious sort of hunger that had nothing whatsoever to do with food, a want that deepened even as she fed it. Hunger for connection, for this mighty communal motion, hunger stripped of all anxiety. Normally by this hour she'd be famished. On $8 a week to cover groceries and rent, plus shoes and waists suitable for work, and with prices so frightfully war-inflated, she had never had enough to make ends meet. Even with washing her own laundry at home, stringing bloomers on a line above the sink, something almost always had to go, and most commonly that thing was lunch. But Lou, an ace at scrimping and living beyond her means, had taught Frida the gumdrop trick. 3 gumdrops at noon, a penny each at the Milk Street sweet shop, and you could fool your stomach into feeling full. Only after the break, too late to spend more, did hunger exact its retribution. 17 cents saved off a lunch that would cost 20 times 6 was $1 plus a week. With luck, those savings paid for a Sunday at Revere Beach. Some fellow would make good on her initial investment, treating her to ice cream and a boat ride. Or she might splurge on a picture show at Scully Square. The New Hazards of Helen, in which Helen jumps her car onto a barge, was just colossal. By day's end, Frida was dizzy, and mere blinking taxed her strength. But this was how a girl on her own could make it. Stop there. But that's a book I definitely think you should read. Like I said, actually, did I say it? I don't know. I've done two or three takes of this, and I can't remember what I said. It is now out in paperback. So for those of us who are scrimping change and trying to cut corners, it's out in paperback now. Again, the title is Charity Girl, Michael Lowenthal. That's what you got to read this week, and I'll see you next time.